What's going on, YouTube? So earlier today I started my new series, which was my daily top 10, and I did the top 10 NFL fan bases. So I wanted to start another series that I said I was going to do, and that is my ranking series. So basically I'm going to do the four major sports, the NBA, NHL, NFL, and then MLB. And then also I'm going to be doing college basketball and college football. So I don't know how long this series is going to take. Basically how this is going to go is I'm going to list out each position, or I'm going to start with each position in every sport. I'm going to go through each position, naming out top 10 to top 15 to top 20, depending on the depth of the position and the importance of the position to the sport. And after that, I'm obviously going to do my top 25, top 50, top 100, depending on how many positions and how many players there are at each position. So today I wanted to start in the NBA, since it is in the meat of the NBA season. It is the league I am going to be starting with, and I'm going to start at the point guard position. So the way I'm going to be doing this format-wise is the top 10, and then I'm going to go down and do my three outside as well. So this is mainly going to be based on this is for this year. So I'm not going to be doing this like if I was playing on NBA 2K, who would the top 10 overall players be, and I'm not going to be basing it off like the beginning of the year or anything like that. So I'm going to be going through where I would rank him exactly right now, and that's how it's going to be. So I'm going to be doing, like I said, my three outside, so I want to go ahead and start with that. So to start on my three outside, I've got the point guard for the New Orleans Pelicans, and that is Jrue Holiday. So Jrue Holiday's been having a better year than I think a few people anticipated him to. He's been relatively healthy this year, which is actually kind of surprising to me, and his averages are pretty good. He's got a good player efficiency rating this year as well. Like I said, he's been doing pretty well since the beginning of the year. But his 2016 averages 14.3 points per game, about 5 assists, close to 3 rebounds. Not anything that's going to jump off the page at you, but like I said, a guy that's been very efficient for the Pelicans this year, and I think that's something that the Pelicans need long term. So moving to my second player on the three outside, and I've got the point guard out of Detroit, and that is Reggie Jackson. So Jackson has had the ball quite a bit this year. I was looking at something a few days ago, and there's no other team that runs the ball through one person as much as Detroit runs the ball through Reggie Jackson. And he's had a pretty solid year. He's averaging about 19 points per game, and shooting not great, about 44%, which you pretty much expect out of Reggie Jackson. Free throws doing good, 84%, and averaging about 6 assists per game. So it's been a solid year for Reggie Jackson so far. Just outside the top 10. He's been a solid piece for a Pistons team that is on the outside, I believe on the outside looking in for the playoffs right now, but definitely has a good chance of making the playoffs with the amount of talent they really have on that team. I think that big Andre Drummond in the middle is one of the best centers in the league, and they should really take advantage of that. So move on to my number one on the five outside. Again, these aren't in a particular order ranking wise. It's just the three guys that barely missed the cut, and I've got the currently injured point guard for the Sacramento Kings, and that's Rajon Rondo. So Rondo's been having a good year so far, a very Rondo-esque year, better than it went last year for him while he was in Dallas. I think it's a better fit in Sacramento. Again, not a Sacramento team that's not great this year. Sacramento team that does have a decent amount of talent again, kind of similar to the Pistons with a good big man down low with DeMarcus Cousins, might be the best center in the league. But Rondo does have pretty good averages this year, averaging around 6.5 rebounds a game, 12 points, and 12 assists. So averaging a double-double every game, so obviously pretty solid. Alright, so move into my top 10. And to start, I've got the Boston Celtics point guard, and that is Isaiah Thomas, who is just really having a phenomenal year. He's scoring points in bunches. It was a very crowded Celtics backcourt to begin the year. They do have two very talented point guards in Marcus Smart and Isaiah Thomas. Both are kind of pure opposites, though. Marcus Smart more of a defensive and athletic force. Isaiah Thomas more of just a straight scorer, also a very high tempo point guard. But like I said, Isaiah Thomas having a much better year than a lot of people expected out of him, averaging around 21.5 points per game, closer to 7 assists, 1 steal, 3 rebounds. So, like I said, solid year for Isaiah Thomas. For me, that does get him inside the top 10 for point guards when he really, I wouldn't say he wasn't even close, but definitely was not in the top 10 at the end of the year. But really anyone's top 10, I think. So move on to my number 9, and again, currently injured point guard. But guy that's been having an up and down year, the Charlotte Hornets, running the point for the Charlotte Hornets, and that's Kemba Walker. He's averaging just over 20 points per game, 5 assists, close to 2 steals, and 4 rebounds. So, like I said, again, a guy that's been having a much better year than a lot of people expected out of him. A guy that's always shown flashes, had good potential, but really came up big at the beginning of the year. Charlotte looked like one of the better teams in the East, and I mean, it's been a slippery slope for Charlotte ever since. But like I said, nonetheless, Kemba Walker's responded pretty well. He's had a pretty good year since the beginning of 2016. So move on to my number 8, and I've got the guy running point for the Atlanta Hawks, and that is Jeff Teague. So Jeff Teague, I don't think quite playing up to his potential right now. Had a solid game against Dallas a couple nights ago, where he put up 32 points, 8 assists. But like I said, a guy that could be playing better right now, a guy that might be traded. I've heard, or even heard some trade rumors about. I'm not sure. The Hawks aren't competing the same way they were last year. They will still probably be a playoff team, but I don't think a number 1 seed like they were last year. He's averaging just under 15 points per game, 5.5 assists. Closer to 3 rebounds and also 1 steal. So like I said, it's been an efficient year for Jeff Teague so far. Shooting his normal percentage right around 43%. But like I said, a guy that might actually end up being traded, also a guy who's a very, very, very talented point guard. Alright, so move on to my number 7, and I have the guy running point for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's Kyrie Irving. So, it seems a little weird to have a star like Kyrie Irving at 7, but again, a guy that really hasn't played up to his full potential until really just recently. Obviously started the year late, off injury, but last 3 games he's averaging around 25 points per game. That's good, but before that it was just a little shaky. Again, our situation in Cleveland that for most of the year looked like they weren't playing up to their potential. Last few games they've been looking good, beating the Pacers, Spurs very handily, and then also beating the Pistons. But like I said, it's a Cavs team that's been up and down this year, and really a situation where I don't think any of the big 3, including Kevin Love, LeBron, and Kyrie, are playing up to their potential. Alright, so move on to my number 6, and I've got point guard from Portland, and that is Damian Lillard. So Damian Lillard's had a very solid year in my mind. He's really been the guy that does it all for the Trailblazers this year. He's had some help from CJ McCollum, but really for where Portland is right now, I believe they're about 9th or 10th in the West. After losing LaMarcus Aldridge and Robin Lopez this offseason, and Nick Batum and Wes Matthews, it looked like they were about done. They had lost just seemingly not the heart and soul of their team, because I think Lillard was the best player all along, but losing the chunk of talent from their team that big is going to hurt anyone. And the fact that they're still doing all right, I think, is a big credit to Damian Lillard. He's averaging around 24 points per game, 7 assists, 1 steal, 4.4 rebounds, and solid averages, of course, for a point guard. Again, he's just kind of been Mr. Do-It-All for the Trailblazers. Alright, so move on to number 5. And I got the guy running point for the Washington Wizards, and that is John Wall. So John Wall just seems to me like he progresses every year. Just looks more impressive every year. It might not be better averages, but he's averaging just under 20 points per game, about 10 assists, 2 steals, 4 rebounds. Again, the guy's very, very good in transition. Not the best three-point shooter you'll ever see. Actually, one of the his long-range shooting is one of his weakest points. But aside from that, everything in his game is pretty tight. He's one of the best drivers in the league. He's solid on both ends of the court. Like I said, maybe the best point guard running in transition in basketball. And leading a Wizards team this year that's been pretty disappointing overall. I don't think that's any part in John Wall's fault. Alright, so move on to my number 4. And I've got the surprise out of Toronto this year, and that's Kyle Lowry. So the Raptors and Kyle Lowry have both been a treat to watch this year. The Raptors are on fire. I think they've won like 12 in a row or something like that. They are second in the East right now, and really just looking dominant. And most of that can be chalked up to Kyle Lowry. He's been a very, very good point guard this year, a guy who wasn't even in most people's top 10 to begin the year. And at this point, I think he's in most people's top 5. He's averaging around 21 points per game, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. Like I said, pretty fantastic stats. He's been very efficient this year as well. Like I said, leading a Raptors team that, while it might be one of the more talented in the East, a lot of people didn't think they would finish second in the East, which is where they are right now. Alright, so move on to my number 3. And I've got the point guard for the Los Angeles Clippers, and that is Chris Paul. So top 3, most people I'm assuming are around the same. Chris Paul, one of the better true point guards in basketball, averaging right around 9.5 assists per game, 2 steals, and around 19 points. So it's been a weird year for the Clippers. A lot of people think that it might be Chris Paul running the show completely because Blake Griffin might be traded soon. But like I said, it's been a pretty wild year for the Clippers. Again, another team that's probably not playing up to their potential. A team that had championship aspirations at the beginning of the year has had championship aspirations really for the last few years. And in my opinion, Chris Paul, probably along with Blake Griffin, have been 2 of the best players, or really the co-stars of that team. More of a big 3 sort of deal, though, including DeAndre Jordan at the center spot. Alright, so move on to my number 2 point guard, and I've got the athletic guy running point for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook's having another MVP caliber season. Obviously, he's not going to win MVP. It's probably going to be Steph again, but nonetheless, he's putting up very good stats, around 10 assists, 7 rebounds, around 2.5 steals, and 24 points per game for what probably is the 3rd or 4th best team in the NBA right now. Maybe even the 2nd, I don't know. There's a whole mismatch between the Cavs, Thunder, Spurs, and Warriors. I mean, obviously the Warriors are the best, but those next 3 are very good as well. And Russell Westbrook leading a very, very good 2-headed monster this year with Kevin Durant, and Oklahoma City looking like, the old Oklahoma City that you would expect there to be with that much talent on one team. Like I said, Russell Westbrook having a pretty good year, more efficient than he's been than I've really ever seen him. That's normally my knock on Russell Westbrook. He jacks up a bunch of shots and shoots around 39-40%. This year shooting around 46%, hitting about 81% of his free throws. So, like I said, very solid year for Russell Westbrook. Alright, so move on to my final guy in the top 10. I mean, everyone knew who this was before I started the video, and that is Steph Curry. So Steph really just putting up on unreal stats this year, monster stats, however you want to say that. 29.4 points per game, 6.5 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and leading what is by far the best team in the NBA. He's shooting over 50%. Making close to 5 threes per game, just insane. Shooting about 92% from the free throw line as well. Having one of the best seasons ever, not just as a point guard, but just as an overall player. And leading what has to be the favorite for the NBA championship right now. And a team that might actually be, one of the best teams ever, just record-wise. Right now they are 39-4. I have to look that up, but a team that's just been really, aside from one rough stretch around, I believe it was late December, early January, a team that's been pretty much damn near unbeatable this year, going 44-4. So yeah, a team that could easily attain the best record ever in basketball. I wouldn't say easily, but a team that could definitely attain that. And yeah, like I said, a team that's really been unreal this year. So that's pretty much it. I'll be coming back tomorrow with my shooting guard rankings. If you guys like that series, or like this series, it's be something that I try to do regularly and try to get good rankings, good stats, good information on all the rankings that I do. So that's pretty much it. So yeah. On YouTube. So yesterday I did my NFL mock draft, and today I wanted to do my way too early NBA mock draft. So obviously there's no exact formula for how the mock draft is going to go draft order wise. I used the latest draft order that NBA Draft.net had for their last mock draft. I'm also going to